Hey, what's up guys? Dishsoap here, current Warcraft global player, here with a 6 Noxus guide. Originally I had this comp in my tier list video, I put it in A tier, but after playing the patch a bit, I definitely think it deserves to be moved up to S tier. If you look at my stats for the comp, this is for the current patch 13.13b, you'll see that outside of the Heimerdinger trait and 4 Juggernaut, 6 Noxus is actually my third highest performing trait. I have 7 games of it on the patch, 85% top 4 rate and 42% win rate, which is insane. And if you just look at all my highest placing units for the patch, it's Samira, Darius, Katarina, Swain, Syad, having a lot of success with 6 Noxus. I'm just going to share a bit why and how I make it work. The core of 6 Noxus is just going to be streaking stage 2 and stage 3, especially stage 3, keeping a high HP lead, out-tempoing the lobby, and winning the game with Darius 3, Katarina 3. A lot of people like to ask for a comp like this, what's BIS? Generally for reroll comps, BS is super important, but with Noxus, I actually think the most important thing is just streaking. And if you're just trying to prioritize streaking, you don't really have the opportunity to get the player on BIS. The things I do like to prio a lot in Noxus comp is number 1, healing for Darius, and number 2, spark on Katarina. After that, your items can be super flexible. Quote unquote BIS is going to be something like Titan's IE and then GG Hodge for Katarina. For Darius, Odd or BT can work for healing. Titans is good. BS is good. Last Whisper is good. DB is fine. Guardbreaker is fine. You have so many options. Edge of Knight's sometimes okay. And then for Katarina, just AP healing, basically anything. AP healing, damage multipliers like GS, Rabadons, Archangel, Titan. As long as you're streaking, it's probably a fine slam. Leftover items, honestly, stacking Swain is not very good in this comp. Kind of just falls over late game. So I prefer just going utility items over tank items, stuff like Zephyr, Shroud. Chalice is actually pretty good, especially if you can go Scion later. They buffed Chalice recently to give more starting mana. It gives the exact same amount of starting mana as Protector's Vow. So getting a Chalice on Scion can basically help him instacast. And one more thing I want to go over with itemization here is who do you Noxus spat? In my tier list video, I basically said just Echo, and Echo is a really solid option because he fits in super well on level 7 because you can just go Warwick Echo and get Juggernaut, Zod, and Rogue and whatever. I think another good option is Nasus. I think especially if you get a Nasus too early on your rolldown, it can be super good. And it's also really good if you have a Juggernaut spat because then you can just go 4 Juggernaut on 7, and 4 Juggernauts really good. Your Darius, it's super tanky. And then the last option for Noxus spat is something I consider number 1 when I'm contested Noxus, and number 2 if I have extra bow items is Noxus Azir. It works because Cassio is a Noxus as well as a Shurima, and you can play Nasus for Juggernaut on your Darius. So Noxus Azir, you can go 3 Shurima, 6 Noxus, and then he can hold whatever bow items. It's probably better if you don't have Katarina items for whatever reason, because then your Katarina items can just go to Azir instead. Azir is your secondary carrier instead of Darius. It's good if you're contested. You can just play around Azir 2, Nasus 2 as your top 4 condition instead of Katarina 3 and Darius 3. Let's jump into a game where I talk about these concepts. All right, so the portal here is Yorick's Graveyard, and what that does is whenever someone dies, the entire lobby gets gifted a memory with an item that the player who died had. So basically, it just encourages not dying and staying high HP so you can get use out of all these extra items. And it's gonna encourage early item slams and aggressive play more, which is basically what Noxus is all about. You see here, I got a Katarina from box. That was one of the conditions I talked about for playing Noxus. We can just skip around in the early game, doesn't really matter that much. Get the Swain. So I have Swain and Katarina, and I'm very interested in playing Noxus now. The problem here is that I have belt tier. If you notice when I was talking about items, I didn't really mention any belt items. Belt is definitely the worst component in Noxus comp. The only really good item you can make is Noxus spat. Sunfire and Morello aren't very good because Katarina and Cassio both have anti-heal in their abilities. So I would never really want to be slamming Sunfire. I think Redemption is actually a perfectly fine slam because you just get to kill the belt. They nerfed March of Progress. It's not that good anymore. They actually buffed Infinity Force. I think Freaky Friday's okay. I feel like it's just not as consistently good as Buried Treasures because the Buried Treasures gives you the extra gold. I think if this didn't give the gold, I would definitely just take Freaky Friday, but the gold makes this super consistent. And then pumping up Cyberdemic Leech aren't that good for Noxus, and I definitely want to play Noxus here, so I just take the consistent and good Orc's Graveyard. We get the Cassio pair, the Samira, and we definitely just want to be leveling here to try to win a round. I choose to play a Challenger over Rogue. Honestly, not sure if that's correct, but the thing is, if I held the Viego there, I wouldn't be able to hold Jhin pair and Cassio pair. And at this point, I don't actually know if I'm going to be committing Noxus. Because if I hit like Aurelia 2, Gen 2, it might just be like an Ionia game. I definitely should keep that option open. I haven't really done that much scouting. I'm scouting right now and I'm seeing like, oh, no one's playing Noxus. So highly considering the Noxus out now that I see it's uncontested. I'm still keeping other lines open. You definitely have to be keeping all your options open, at least at a challenger level. So I slammed the Redemption to help me win around. So he's actually really good with Redemption early because he gains a bunch of artificial HP when he ults. Scales with the Redemption pretty well. Here, our items are Sword, Bow, Glove. If you're thinking about like BIS Darius, that's like IE Titans potential. Also, Last Whisper potential now, like Last Whisper is probably my strongest board. One thing you can do with Ezreal is you can actually greed your items pretty hard. I wouldn't slam anything until you see what your matchup is. So I see this guy. Okay, so I see this guy and I determined that I'm not going to win the fight no matter what I slam, so I'm just going to hold it. Sunfire Spark Aurelia 2 is like really hard to beat. Kind of sucks I like lose my 2-streak potential here and I lose a Noxus stack. Not really much I can do. Get another dud chop. After the second bow dropped, I'm actually considering not playing our Noxus. If I remember correctly, I considered actually like slamming RFC and angling towards Yasuo. RFC IE is a very popular build on him. I saw the work because I just want to hold the Aurelia to make 10. But I'm scouting around, I'm noticing that Yasuo is like far more contested than Noxus is. I see 2 people with RFC slammed and 1 person with Challenger Spat. And the last guy was playing around like Ionia opener as well. So that's like 3-ish potential Yasuo players. So if I like slam RFC here and try to play around that, I'm just going to be contesting for no more reason. And I have this free Noxus opener. So I don't need to slam anything to win. So it's very good for me. Here I could sell like Teemo Cassio and pre-level, but I actually think Teemo for like 2 strategies is actually pretty good early game. If I don't really hit anything good next shop, it's gonna be my level 5, so I'm down to just not sell it and not pre-level. Here our items are bow, sword, glove. I probably go for the Katarina with cloak. Katarina pair, also BT potential for my Darius, also spark potential if I get another cloak. So right now I'm like considering Noxus more than anything, like after getting this Katarina. Get another glove. The glove is really awkward. I think I end up making a Last Whisper here because Last Whisper is fine in Noxus and I don't really want to be making IE since like the sword is almost always going to be BT. So yeah, I just make the Last Whisper. Also, like I kind of have to kill a bow, right? The first bow is Titans and the second bow is really awkward. So you might as well just get rid of the 2 awkward components and send Last Whisper. What I should have done is I should have waited because I didn't need to summon Last Whisper versus this guy, right? He's basically full sacking. So I could have waited and like greeted a little bit extra, but I don't think it really matters, as you'll see. So here, obviously, this is a really lucky shop. I get a Darius and a Shen, but I feel like it's, as someone would say, it's not that much of a high roll because I basically like whiffed on all my other shops early game. And the Darius here, I think I also got dropped a chain, which gives me BT Titans Darius, which is obviously like really good. I'm just gonna slam it. Last Whisper is probably worse than IE and GS on Darius, but it doesn't really matter. As long as I'm winning rounds and getting the Noxus stacks, any item is gonna be good. So here, like the Last Whisper, even though like late game it might be like a little bit suboptimal, it lets me get through the Stone Plate on the Maokai, and ultimately I think it's what wins me the round here, yeah. Like if I just didn't slam, I might actually lose because I might just get stuck in the Maokai. Here we make 20, and now I'm just committed Noxus. Probably drop was a cloak and a Kled. Actually I choose to sell the Kled to make money. I like saving my gold for level 6 roll down, and if I'm rolling on level 6, the Kled will probably come back. And I don't really think Kled 3... Number 1, Kled 3 isn't that important, and number 2, you can often just hit Kled 3 anyways, even if you sell there. And here, since I'm Ezreal Legend, there's a very high chance I'm going to take his 3-2 augment that gives me components, so I don't really want to slam anything since the components I get off the Ezreal might change it. The cloak pretty much always wants to be Spark here for my Katarina, so I don't really want to make a cloak item. The glove can also be a Katarina item. If the person was strong enough, I would probably consider slamming Shroud, since the chain isn't that useful for me. I think Shroud is a perfectly fine slam here, but this guy isn't strong enough for me to do that, so just greed one more turn, the fight easily. So here we have big grab bag, parting gift, social distancing. Social distancing is not that good with Noxus. You already are getting a bunch of base stats from the trait, and you basically just want to be frontlining everything. It's not really possible social distancing. Like you don't really want like to spread out your units and like waste uptime having your melee units walk up. It's just not that efficient. Parting gifts is just not really useful in our comp. We're gonna be frontlining everything. We can't really get like any specific value out of this. I just reroll both of them. The boss is just worthless here for our comp. And sleight of hand, I don't really think it's that good. If you can't really use the attack speed, it's basically like the tier 1 augment from last set as a gold. It's not the best. And I was debating for a bit if I should reroll big grab bag or not. I would have to like do my own research on this, but I think I came to the conclusion that there's enough low rolls possible that I should just take big grab bag. The things I would be looking for that would be like insane are Noxus Crest, long distance pals, and like the Noxus execute augment. I forget what it's called. Maybe my editor can put it in somewhere. But those three are like the best augments for Noxus, and they're all gold. So there is a big upside to rerolling this, but I think like there's also a really big downside. Like I can see any of the other hero augments, they're not bound to your traits for whatever reason. And I could see something garbage like Rich Get Richer as well. So I think it's just too risky to roll this. And the extra gold helps with my roll down, so it's not even bad. So I think I just end up debating for a while and I eventually just take it. Yep. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that much because I spent so much time looking at my augment. But something you really, really want to do in this comp, like almost always, is roll very, very deep on level 6, preferably on 3-2. If you're win streaking stage 2, you can also roll deep on 3-1. But you really want to be rolling for number 1, 6 Noxus. And number 2, just like your upgraded 2 and 3 costs. Hitting like Darius 2 Katarina 2 is not that insane. It's very, very strong, but it's definitely like an achievable goal. But even like your Kled 2, your Swain 2 is gonna make all that difference in winning these fights. And you need to be streaking. You need to be winning around stage 3 with Noxus. You don't really have to be streaking, but this is the stage where you are gonna be strongest compared to the rest of the lobby. Yeah, you just need to be capitalizing on it. Unfortunately, I had to sell my only Samira to like move the items to Darius, so I don't really have access to 6 Noxus here. And I decided that my board was strong enough that I didn't really want to roll for just the 1 Samira, even though it would be stronger than what I have now, 6 Noxus. Warwick 2 and Shen 1 are like strong enough. No 6 Noxus, but we still have Darius 2, Katarina 2. Very, very strong. I decided to slam the BT and the Shroud, just slamming basically everything I can. Like no one thinks BT is Miss Katarina, but it's still a good healing item on her. I had 2 cloaks. The next cloak can just be Spark, and just slam the Shroud because I can't really use Chain that much. So here, basically the only thing I want is Spark, and there's no Rod on Carousel, which sucks. Honestly, I don't even know what I would go for here. Maybe a Darius. I would go for the Darius for sure if it was still there, but I think it can. Probably like Tier, I guess. One for belt. Wait, it's not a Zephyr here. I'd probably summon a Zephyr if it won me the fight, honestly. Yeah, we hit the Samira. And yeah, even though like we're dropping a 4 cost, an upgraded 2 costs for 2 1-stars, it's definitely still stronger. 6 Noxus is just such a strong trait. Yeah, okay. This is a mistake, by the way. Like, there's no way I'm just gonna like pre-slam the Zephyr before I even know who I'm fighting. Honestly, like just like streaking in general is just so powerful with Noxus. I don't think it's like that bad of a play, but definitely think I should be waiting to see my opponent. Oh, and I think I remember this game. Some interesting things happen. Yeah, I Zephyr his carry, and he's playing a bunch of 1-stars. It's gonna be a free win. And here I'm just scouting my strongest matchups, making sure I can like land the Zephyrs and the Shrouds. Here I get kind of juked, but I still land the Shroud on him. And the rest of this game, like as soon as you like win some rounds stage 2 and you win streak stage 3, the rest of the game is super straightforward. Like none of the decisions really matter. I might go for some positioning stuff late game, but essentially it's just like finishing off your carry items and then slow rolling for 3-star Noxus. Yeah, like I mean we don't really need to see the rest of these rounds. I'll go over like the important decisions. Blinding speed's not good. Don't have anyone to use this really. Binary airdrop's not good because we want 3 items on all my units. And it's also York's Graveyard, so I'm probably gonna itemize everything anyways. A well-earned comforts is pretty good, especially with York's Graveyard. Late game, basically all my units will have max value out of this. So definitely just gonna reroll the two things. Infernal Contract, Ancient Archives is very interesting. Infernal Contract is usually very good in this comp. The problem is, like, it's very good in this comp usually. The problem is, it's a very good problem to have, is that I'm high rolling way too hard, and I don't really need 85 gold. Infernal Contract with Noxus is usually like basically a guaranteed top 2 because you can get like 3-star Noxus on like 4-2, 4-3 honestly without much gold. I think my average with Infernal Contract is like a 2 point something, but it's not the best thing to win the game because I'm stuck on level 7. I will never be able to get Rogue and Juggernaut on my level 7 board. I probably won't even find Scion, and I'm also down like a prismatic worth of combat. So Infernal Contract is like the play for top 4 play, but at 94 HP, 50 gold, slow rolling my entire board 2-starred. I don't think I need to play for top 4. I think I need to play for a first, and so I think I just take Well and Comforts. Ancient Archives is definitely another thing you can do to play for first, but it's kind of risky. Noxus and Juggernaut are really, really good, but basically everything else is pretty bad. I mean, Slayer is okay. Slayer is only good if you get like multiple Slayers, honestly. Noxus and Juggernaut are really only good ones. I think Well and Comforts is a little bit better, but Ancient Archives is okay. It's just kind of risky, and I don't really need to be taking any risks in this spot. Take Well and Comforts, just start slow rolling. The fights are really important, and I'm just slow rolling. End up losing to a KL3. It's fine. Still 86 HP. No Spark again. I go for a tier. Can maybe be Hodge. Can maybe be Chalice if I get another Cloak. I'm just gonna keep slow rolling. Positioning wise, okay, so Katarina basically always wants to be in the middle. Because she does like AoE with her spell. If you put her on that side, she's gonna waste a lot of her damage. And you really want to be putting Darius A, where he's attacking something weak to get a reset, and B, like away from enemy carry so he doesn't die. I believe in this lobby I didn't really see anyone playing like any super tanks, and I didn't really see that many Jarvans, so I'm just putting him in the middle. Let's see what I see when I scout. So there's like a Shin 1 in the middle. He's not that, he's a stone plate, but it's not that tanky. So yeah, but like everything in the middle is pretty squishy, and it's the safest place for the Darius to be, so I'm just gonna keep him there. Okay, there's one guy with Jarvan too, but like I'm fighting like against 4 possible people, so yeah, putting Darius in the middle means he's getting targeted last. A really important concept. I mean, I can actually go over that fight to show you guys. A really even though I lost, a really important concept in this game that I don't think is like mentioned enough to like new players like with positioning is aggro resetting. Essentially, whenever a unit kills another unit, the unit they target next is the unit closest to them, and that is like super impactful in a lot of different ways. So in this fight, this guy's Kalista 3, which is like probably 80% of his damage, is targeting my Swain here. And so when it kills the Swain, it's gonna retarget onto the closest unit. And the closest unit, believe it or not, is actually not my Darius that's next to my Swain. It's gonna be the units on the side that walk forward. It's gonna be like my Warwick and then my Kled. So it kills the Darius, it kills the Warwick. And then the Katarina, this is kind of unintended, but the Katarina, as she like did her spin for like one second, walked closer into Kalista's range as she was resetting, so went on the Katarina next. And the Kalista basically killed everything and then my Darius. So even though it would seem like if I'm trying to avoid the Kalista, that I should put my Darius on the side to avoid it, that would actually be like the worst, one of the worst spots to put him. It would just get aggro reset onto it and then die. So some interesting things to think about. Like a good rule of thumb for like melee carries doing this, like if you want to avoid getting your melee carries focused, is put them in the middle. And now that leaves them vulnerable to CC, but units like Darius get around that, and units like rogues get around that as well. We both have kind of CC drops. Yeah, just slow rolling. I hit a Scion, super lucky. Items here, I probably reforge chain probably. Get Darius 3, I can sit now. Don't get a Spark, unlucky, so I'm just gonna slam Hodge, take a Chalice on my Scion so we cast faster. So here I end up getting stunned by Jarvan, which is not good. Get stunned by Jarvan twice. In the future, if I'm fighting this guy, I should be trying to avoid the Jarvan at all costs. Like if I have my Darius in like the left side of the board, maybe I might win this run anyways, but no, I don't. Yeah, if Darius was on the left, I could do it, but I just wasn't really scouting that much this round. And from this position, like I'm basically guaranteed Darius 3, Katarina 3, and probably Kled 3, Swain 3. In this position, all I need to do is just roll a bit more in 7 for 3 stars and level for Rogue, and then like 3-star Darius, 3-star Cat can easily win, if not win, up 2 for sure. Yeah, just avoiding the Sejuani, it's his tankiest unit, getting resets off the weak front line. The only way you can like lose the Ionia matchup is if your Darius gets stuck on like a super tanky unit like a Shen 2 maybe. And then their Kai'Sa and like Yasuo would like eventually just chip down your Darius. But if you can get like a couple of resets, the fight's not even close usually. And then it's York, so we're just getting a bunch of extra items here. The Spark, which is nice, get a Vow. Let's get some more tankiness. Start giving take items to my Kled. I think Kled 3 is actually tankier than Swain 3 in this comp, which is weird, but Swain 2 is way tankier than Kled 2. Oh, also another thing about Scion positioning, you basically always want him in the center, because he can hit either corner and he hits largest clump. So center Scion is you don't want to put him to the side. If you put him to the side, he'll like charge in the middle. It's weird. Basically, always just put him in the middle. So here, I think I lost because I don't have Katarina 3, but I spent too long trying to kill this guy Shen. And he rolled a Sunfire as well, which is not good. But like this fight's for sure winnable once I level up and hit Katarina 3. I'm not really worried. Nice, we hit Katarina 3, and now we just level Katarina 3, Swain 3, and now we just level for Echo. And the Katarina 3 spike is too much for this guy. And I think the game is just over right at this point. Can just skip through the fight, just show you guys how the game ends, but it should be over by now. For some reason, I just end up with 3 Zephyrs. I don't even know what to do with them. Here I falsely assumed that I wanted to have backline Zephyrs to like get rid of his carries. But and he also has a couple Zephyrs because we're both just getting them from Yorick's. And I get both of my carries Zephyr, which is not good, and I end up basically Zephyring nothing of value. So I end up losing this fight, I think. Get stuck on the Shen at last second. And executed by Callista. But that's just a position diff. I can for sure win this fight. Kled 3. So I think I realized that I don't need backline Zephyr at all. I'm just gonna try to get rid of all this front line on one side, I think. So yeah, I mean, I'm not even scouting him, but I just assume that if I just Zephyr like this guy's whole left side of the board, I could dash on his team. Okay, so this was almost perfect. But I ended up Zephyring his Callista, which was actually bad, believe it or not. If I didn't Zephyr his Callista, my Darius would just walk up and kill it. But now it had to like walk away to chase the Kaisa, and his Callista actually lived long enough to like get aggro on my Darius and execute it. But I just have too many units and I just win the fight anyways. But yeah, I mean, was not really worried about this fight at all at the end. The game was pretty much over after stage 3, just a little bit of execution. But the most important thing, like that you guys saw, was just slamming everything for tempo. Like Biss is fake. I ended the game with Hodge BT Guardbreaker Katarina and Last Whisper Darius. Like, this is not BIS. The early tempo and the early Noxus stacks and just the HP lead made this like a super free first, and that's just the main thing to consider. So yeah, just focus on having good enough items, rolling on 3-2, and sweating positioning to win your stage 2 and stage 3 fights. That's the most important thing that you can probably take away from this. And yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for the guide. If you have any questions about Noxus at all, I guess I'm down to answer in the comments, but peace.